Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. And what we have a commentary this time. We're going to talk about two illnesses that everybody, if they haven't had it, they know people that have had it. And so we're going to emphasize the diabetes and cancer. Too close for comfort. This was an article written by Dr. Jamal Dennis for the Prince George Sweet magazine, and this is very, very important. For over 80 years, scientists have suggested that diabetes may precede some cancers. Recently, several articles reviewed the scientific evidence supporting a link that the two costly disease. They have found individuals are diagnosed with both. Imagine having both diabetes and cancer. So it's so very important. I like to emphasize, just take the time, emphasize you to exercise, eat well, and make sure that you have your checkup. And it doesn't mean necessarily, a lot of people feel that, after you get 65, you really need it. You need a checkup all the time. In fact, a youngster, your grandchildren, everybody needs a checkup. But the two things that really most people are sensitive to is diabetes and cancer. What is the connection between these two deadly states? More importantly, what can we learn by connecting these diseases that can lead to development of new therapeutics for both? Before we answer any question, we should first consider the biology of the two disorders. Most of us, we're not familiar with the biology of the cancer and actually you're dealing with diabetes. A lot of people don't realize that they have diabetes. In the mid-1920s, Dr. Otto Warburg proposed that one of the major irregularities of cancer cells is about the method of producing energy. Cancer cells producing energy. Most people say, what is he talking about? And see, most cells rely on microchromatic to who produce energy. The mitochondriatics are organisms within the cell that produce energy in the form of ATP by metabolizing the product of gluconeogenesis in an oxygen-dependent mechanism. In cancer cells now, an alternative process of producing energy is used. These irregular cells metabolize glucose independence of the micromanized and oxygen through a process called glycolysis. In diabetes, the hormones. Now, these terms and everything, you say, hey, well, what is it talking about? The best thing to do is a reference in this Prince George Sweet magazine article on diabetes and cancer, too close for comfort. What I'm trying to do with this commentary and make you understand that you need to know more about these two diseases. But every family, somewhere along the line have experienced the tragedy of going through diabetes. And in either case, they're saying, as far as the diabetes is concerned, glucose is not being cleared from the blood. Glucose, a lot of people think in terms of glucose and sugar. So what do diabetes and cancer have in common? From a clinical point of view, common risk management for both diabetes and cancer include, but are not limited to, age. That's what I was telling you, age, obesity, diet, and physical inactivity. When is the last time that you have taken time to exercise? Exercise is one of the prime preventive measures for most things. In fact, in exercise, you strengthen your organs. You can say, well, hey, I can't do this. You can make excuses, but inactivity is one of the major, you find people that have these two top diseases, I call them cancer and actually diabetes. They always find a reason not to exercise. I can't, this hurts me when I raise my hand and this and that. They go through a lot of changes. However, when considering both diseases from a biological point of view, it is clear that cells in both indication no longer rely on the oxygen dependent energy productions. The fundamental change in the biology of the cell has well documented clinical manifestations. For example, disrupted or limited microchromatin energy production correlates with aging and obesity. Those are two things that a lot of people, you can't do anything about unless you yourself, nobody else can help you with obesity. No one can help you with aging. No matter what, each day you're older and you have to change your habit, especially the inactivity habit. Most of us, we put things off and make excuses for not doing these things. Studies have shown that diet and exercise can improve your activity. Just finished telling you that. When is the last time you made excuses not to exercise? When is the last time you made excuses not to balance your diet? Yeah, well, you don't want to hear this, but these are things that you really have to emphasize. You have to emphasize these things in your daily life. Now, so far the results of such testing has been promising. Interesting enough, you find that the action on the treatment of diabetes and possible cancer, the therapeutic treatment of it. In the meanwhile, insight derived from investigating the biological significance, a link between diabetes and cancer should help us discover the impact our lives have on these two basic biology action. So get off the sofa. That's what Dr. Dennis said. Get off the sofa. Make a promise to yourself. Don't make it to me. Make a promise to yourself. And what you're doing when you exercise and when you watch your diet is no reason for you to be overweight. Nobody forces you to eat. You see, you put that in your mind. I have to have 3 squares. Hey, who invented say you have to have 3 meals a day? Whoever invented that, they need to take him out and flog him. Because you don't have to have 3 squares a day. As long as you balance, if you're eating junk, it'd be 10 squares. You could eat 10 meals a day. If they're not properly balanced, doesn't mean anything. So this is a very important subject. You may not think it's important. You may say, I don't want to hear that, because these are things I've heard this before and that type of thing. And you wonder. You said, oh well, what am I going to do? I try, but you don't try hard enough. That's what people fail to realize. When you try, you have to try, to the point that you make an effort. Go to the gym. If you don't like go to the gym, you don't want to see people, see your body, then you got to do something at home. I mean, just like you have to schedule a healthy environment. You can't just haphazardly come into it and say, well, I'll do it tomorrow, put it off. It can't happen that way. And then again, you have to immune yourself to your environment. There's people all around that are passing out germs, basic things. You go to the thing of covering your mouth when you cough, or wiping off the equipment. How many times do you go into a door or store or whatever, even at home now? All of this, what I'm talking about, getting in an environment as far as diabetes and it can happen to anyone. The preventive measures is what you yourself feel is necessary to do. And you're the only one that can save yourself from these things, because these things are inherited. Some of them are you get infected from where you work or whatever. So, hey, what you want to do is say, I'm going to be healthy, and watch that diet. You don't want to eat a lot of junk food. And you don't have to have 3 squares. You can make it with 2. Well, all you have to do is tell your mind that. See, once your mind, when you see that, those French fries and all of those greasy foods and things of that nature, then you can say, hey, I don't want that. I'm going to be healthy, So you make a pledge to yourself. And the other thing, what you have to realize too, especially families, you are setting a poor example when you don't take care of yourself, when you let yourself get out, because those are things that actually get you involved in bad health. Your children, they see you walking around with extra weight on, and they say, well, mom looks like this, or dad looks like this. So when am I going to do something? So what the example is you're setting for the kid, you're quickly setting a good example as far as how they should act and that type of thing, their behavior. You want to make sure. What about their eating habits? You are in charge of that, and it's your responsibility to make sure that happens. Remember, the two most, I say, important things to do is to make sure that you are aware, make yourself aware of diabetes, what causes it, and cancer. And then, hey, don't forget the checkup, and don't forget to have the kids. Give them a checkup too, because they're 2, 3, or whatever. And just like when the article started out, hey, these diseases can hit at any time. All right, this has been Ed Brown. And the next item I'm going to, in this commentary, I'm going to introduce you to Jason Groves. He's one of the features in the Prince George Suite magazine. Jason, he is the Prince George County he's working with the Prince George County Economic Development Corporation. The favorite words of Jason Grove, the new chair of the Prince George County Economic Development Corporation, is the way I do business and how to get them all the time. This is so important. Right now, the county is going through economic crisis. The state is going through economic crisis. The world is going through. The country is going through economic crisis. So economic crisis is so very important. That's another thing you need to school your children on economics, how important it is to save the money. Every time Uncle John give them a quarter, a dollar, or $5, don't spend it all. Set up some kind of system where the youngsters get involved in economics. It could be pennies, it could be dollars, whatever, but set up, say, how much did you save today, John? How much, and when they want those different things, them different iPods and all of that different stuff, that costs you a fortune, hey, tell them, say, hey, look, if you want that, what you have to do, you have to save for it and set up a system for the young. Right now, the iPods and all of these electronic, they cost a fortune, and the kids just sit around and wait for somebody to buy it. It shouldn't be that way. They should be introduced to savings. Hey, have you opened up a savings account